Hello and welcome back to Norwegian Bushcraft. I'm Odd Jelen, and today I am going to talk to you about survival kits. So what is a survival kit? Well, it's a collection of tools and gear you will need to survive in an unplanned or unwanted situation until you get rescued or you get out by yourself. As simple as that. Typically it will consist of things that are really hard to recreate or impossible in that environment that kit is meant for. And I strongly mean that a good survival kit should be on your body. Too often people lose their backpack or whatever and all the stuff they got is gone. But if you keep it on your body, then you'll have it when you need it. So what is hard to recreate in the wild, or it doesn't need to be in the wild, it can be anything, anywhere. Because a survival kit should be adapted to the area where you're going, and it also should be adapted to your personal level of training. So typical universal tasks that are hard to recreate is water purifying, a boiling vessel, water containers, fire making tools, and even some tinder. So artificial tinder should be a good thing to pack. And then we come to waterproof covering, waterproof, windproof covering. You can make something in the wild, but it depends on where you are. Navigation tools, like a compass. It's possible to find natural signs for navigation, but sometimes it's almost impossible. Other times you have them around you all the time and you can see them all over, but other times they're gone. And first aid. First aid is important. Because one injury can kill you, but if you have some stuff to take care of that injury, it can keep you alive. And if you need some medicine and stuff, you always have to pack that as a backup. And as I said, a survival kit will change from environment to environment. It will change from person to person because of the because it will be different from a trained person to an untrained person, and it will also different from time of year and the length of your trip, the distance away from civilization and such. So on the market there are many pre-made survival kits. You have kit in a can, all kind of different stuff. Some of them are decent, they have okay quality gear inside, but it's a universal thing. So maybe 70-80% of what's in there, it's useless in that environment you are in at the moment. So my suggestion is to create your own depending on where you are and what your needs will be. So I'll show you some few things to give you a couple of tips and tricks how to prepare yourself. First of all, carry it on your body. It's important. So what I've done, many of my knives, see on the back side here, it's a tape on the back side of the sheet. Underneath here I have some essentials. which is usually fishing gear and maybe a water purification tablet or two. So I have that on several of my knives, even on this one. And on my Sami knife I even have a fire steel. A fire steel, when you know how to use it, it's very useful to have. So attach this to your belt loop and put it in your pocket. It's a good way of always having it on your body. You can make a survival kit out of Altoid tin and add some more stuff. Like here it has a reflective blanket, Altoid tins packed with stuff, and an extra knife. But it's a big bulky thing. Even it's small, it's quite bulky. And having this in your pocket, one time you will take it out. And maybe you will not put it back. And usually it ends up like that. You should have had it, but you don't. So what I have experienced is the best solution is to put equipment on your body. Have some standard stuff laying in your pocket all the time. You should never take it out, only when you wash, and when it's dry again put it back in. And it's also possible to do even more, to sew in stuff in your clothing or tape them on or put them in such a way that the equipment is there but you don't recognize that it's there. You don't feel it, you can't, you will not be disturbed of the equipment being on you, but it's there. So when you really need it, it's there. Like this small fire steel. These are my fire discs. I made several videos of these. These are very useful. You don't need a whole thing. You can cut out a strip of it so you can put it in between some seams on some clothes or back of your sheet or something like that. Then you have a little piece that is a true flame as long as you can make a spark. For fishing kits, it can be useful to just put them on a piece of paper and put some clear packing tape over. That way, when you need some of it, you just break it off from the backside and you can take out one hook, which you're now going to use. The rest of it will still be intact and neatly put together, so everything else is good, and you can pack it up. Just roll it up and put it in somewhere in your kit, and you have several hooks. The same with these other ones. If you have some sinkers, you want to push a sinker out, just push it out and you have it. The rest is there. A good way of organizing your fishing gear. Instead of having everything inside a box and each time you open it, it flies out all over the place, which is not very good. This is a piece of duct tape or Gorilla tape, and this is how I usually put the fishing gear. A couple of hooks and some strong line, and then I tape the whole thing on the back side of a sheet, and it stays there for years, doesn't come off until you want it to come off. And you can also add more stuff in here if you want, but small flat stuff does not affect the use of the equipment. When I put together fishing kits like this with a line, I usually take one bag of salt from leftovers from any restaurant or whatever, put together, and I roll up the line around this. Salt is very good, especially if you're hiking and it's warm. You lose a lot of the minerals you really need, and after a few days you will really feel it that you're missing the salt. So, and that will also help you prevent heat stroke actually. So have a little bit of salt, it's quite good. And most of the time I use it to put on a fish anyway, but it's useful. Another thing I tend to put in, if I have room, is a couple of sweets. These are boiled sweets. That means it's compact sugar. And when you're empty, you don't have an energy left. We're just walking on autopilot right now. It's I'm empty. This is like, yeah. I've never tried drugs, but I guess it will be feeling the same. It helps like crazy. You'll get a lot of energy back, and it's a really good booster, both physically and mentally. When it comes to water, there is a misconception, or well, it's, yeah, I guess a misunderstanding when it comes to condoms as a water container. Well, I guess that condom thing originates from military use. It was a part of the military kit, but it wasn't really meant for water carrying. It was meant to be used as it should to prevent diseases, but it also meant to just put on your thing when you're wading through jungle and wet areas to prevent parasites to crawl up your thing. And it was also meant for covering the muzzle of your rifle to prevent dirt and shit to get in. I guess that after a while it kind of got into the survival aspect too, that you can use it for water container and carrying. Yeah, you can, but it's very fragile, and when you fill it with water it's like this big, so it's stretched quite heavily and it's thin, so you don't even need a sharp object to ruin it, so it's not very good. And to carry this and drinking from this, it's yeah, it's not useless, but it's very little practical. So if you have place for something like this is a collapsible drinking bottle, that's fine. But this big spout is kind of in the way to pack it really good in your clothing, at least. But this is good. So instead, I'm using Ziploc bags of quite heavy plastic material. This is a 1.2 liter Ziploc bag, and that's perfect. And this can be rolled up to a really thin piece of plastic, so you can put inside your clothing. And I actually have it in my one like this in my jacket. And I'll show you. This is my fleece jacket. Inside of the fleece jacket, on the inside, it has a flap underneath the zipper to kind of have a good closure. Inside of this, I do have a 1 liter plastic bag with 2 water purification tablets. And this is just in here, and it's not in the way. I don't even feel that it's here. So that's a good option to carry a water container without noticing it. And even though you don't need food for like 3 weeks in a survival situation before you start to die, well, that might be fine if you sit still all the time. But if you're trying to get to improve your situation and get to a better place, or you're trying to hike out, well, you need some nutrition, you need some food. So usually I have fish combined with edible plants and berries and stuff like that. So that's what I rely on. So fish is good. Fish is easy to catch, and most of the time. So that's why I carry fishing gear on almost everything I got. And also, I got some here. Inside here, It's a fish hook and line already attached, and that's when you, if you make a fishing kind of kit, try to make it ready, so when you're ready and need the hook and line, it's already tied, because if you're cold hands and stuff, it's really hard to tie it, and it might be dark, so if it's more or less ready, it's good. It might seem that I'm obsessed by fishing gear. Well, I'm not, but in my area, in Norway, in Scandinavia, we have a lot of rivers, lakes and everything, so the food source is there all the time. In my pants, pocket pants, on my outdoor pants, I have a bandana. It's always in there, and that's for water purification, first aid, yeah, a lot of stuff you can do it for. Signaling. It's cotton, so you can even use it for fire making preparations and stuff like that. When it comes to cutting tools, if you're gonna have extra, well, I usually, when I'm out, I usually have a belt knife, and that's already on my body, so I do have a knife, and it's on me all the time. But if you're gonna go for an extra knife or some kind, I will suggest something like this. I think this is called the farmer version of the Swiss Army knives. This is without all the bullshit. You don't need to open a wine bottle or stuff like that. So this has a knife, it has a saw, it has a couple of screwdrivers with can opener and bottle opener, and it has a good ale, which is really sharp and nice to use. Very useful tool. So this knife is small, compact, but still strong and very useful. So if you're gonna have an extra knife in your kit or something, I would recommend something like this. This is good. This is really good. When it comes to navigation tools, in this jacket I have an integrated compass, but usually I carry a compass like this. It's an ordinary compass. You have a magnifying glass here. So what I do, I attach the compass to the button or the zipper pull, like so. Then I can't lose it, I can't misplace it or something like that. So I just put it in and I close it, and it's always here. So when I need it, take it out. That way it's not easy to just put it away, misplace it, forget it on your kitchen table before you go or something like that, because it's attached. In a easy accessible pocket I have a field dressing. That's I used to have that in the military, always in a pocket, in a chest pocket, and I kind of continued doing that afterwards. So I always have the first aid kit really accessible. On my boots, I have replaced the boot laces with paracord. So I have additional 2.5 meter paracord on each boot. So with this, I hope I give you some ideas on how to integrate stuff in your clothing, so it will always be there when you really need it. So what do I miss on my things, on my clothing and stuff? Well, a cooking pot or something to boil water inside. That would be good. I tried to boil in a Ziploc bag. I didn't get it to boil before it burst, but it's possible to use one of these heat-resistant bags where you put a big roast inside in the stove. You can use that. I've seen people boiling water in that, so it's possible. But yeah, as long as I can purify water other ways, it's not that important for me. Okay, so that's how I have solved it for me. So if you have any comments, please put them below the video, and remember to like and subscribe. See you later.